And good morning, everyone. Today is the 11th of July, 2026, closing in on the middle of July, and it's a long, hot summer. And you are watching the weather for the week ahead presented by Flagler Weather Info and Flagler County Assist. And we're looking with a satellite image this morning. We're starting with our satellite imagery. Thunderstorms out over here over the Bahamas. And you notice this kind of milky white looking thing that's kind of, as the sun comes up, you can kind of see it looks like haze. That is Saharan dust that is blown all the way over from Africa, and it's going to be over our area for the next several days. The Saharan dust helps reduce the tropical cyclone risk, but it can increase the velocity of thunderstorms. It can help increase the intensity of storms, and we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. So let's get a look at what's going on. So we'll talk about the tropics. As we said, the Saharan dust is in force, and it is helping prevent any tropical cyclone development. That and El Nino, those two factors, are keeping the tropical cyclone count down, so we're not expecting any development in the next 7 days. And looking further ahead, we don't see any significant development going on through the end of July. So for those that are opposed to hurricanes, that is definitely good news. So let's take a look at our local weather here. High pressure remains in control over here to the southeast, and pretty much is going to stay with us. Now, as we get into the beginning part of the week, this front starts to creep down from the north, and that's going to draw some deep tropical moisture up from the tropics. You can notice a flash flood risk to our west here. That is to the tropical moisture coming up from the Gulf and moving across the area. So that's going to bring some unsettled weather for us, so at least a higher chance of afternoon and evening storms as we go into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe into Wednesday next week before things start to settle down just a little bit. So what are some of the concerns that we're looking at weather-wise? So we're still looking at the dangerous heat conditions throughout the weekend. Now, a lot of people say, oh, it's summer, it's hot. But the thing, here's the point, is that when you're about 95 degrees, the human body starts to feel effect from that. And when you're above 95 degrees, you can actually, unless you're hydrating, you can actually damage internal organs in your body. You can damage your kidneys. You can damage anything that involves, your body cooling off. And if you're not sun protected, you could have really, wicked sunburns, and that can also help you get dehydrated. So heat advisories through much of the area today. We're going to escape the heat advisories in Flagler County for now. They could extend it later because our heat indexes looks like they're not going to get up to 109, at least right now. So the heat index, that's important because the heat index is what it feels like, and that heat index is how your body is going to respond. And so, again, that is why it is very important to stay hydrated, wear sun protection and all that stuff, especially when those temperatures are above 95 degrees. So, we're also looking at the potential of some isolated strong or severe storms. The thunderstorms overall will be very few and far between, but those that develop will carry a risk of damaging wind gusts up to 40 to 60 miles per hour, frequent lightning, and some hail. And we can expect increasing coverage of showers and storms as we go into Sunday through Tuesday. So here's the heat advisory. Again, we're right on the edge of it for right now. We are not in that heat advisory. We're escaping it for the time being, but they could extend it if the Weather Service sees the temperatures are going to be a little bit hotter than expected. They could extend that out into our area. So even though we're not in the heat advisory, please use due caution if you're going to be outside doing anything. Stay hydrated, folks. That's your main weapon. So again, potential for isolated, strong, severe storms. Right now, we are partially in that low-risk area. Anywhere in this dark green, there's going to be a handful of severe storms anywhere in the dark green here, and that includes Flagler County. It does not guarantee Flagler County will see severe storms. Matter of fact, most of us are going to miss them. But where storms do occur, they will have that potential to produce those squally winds up to 60 miles an hour, frequent lightning, and potentially some small hail. There's never a zero chance, but very minimal risk of isolated tornadoes with this. So even though we've had some rainfall, we still have the drought conditions going on, but things have been improving. So let's get into what's the actual going to be going on with the weather. So here's our high temperatures for today, getting into about the mid-90s or so. This is not including heat index. We'll look at that in a little bit. Tomorrow, getting into the mid to upper 90s, generally the same song through the week, maybe 95, maybe 96, 97. Again, a little bit cooler at the beaches, a little bit warmer inland as you go. Looking at low temperatures here, and let's go to lows real quick. Pretty much the same through the entire week. Lows mid 70s, upper 70s at the beaches. That ocean temperature is nice, warm, 84 degrees, so it's going to modify the air along the beaches at night. Now, let's talk about how hot the air is going to feel, because this is what's important. So, right now, we're expecting a heat index of 106 degrees in Bunnell, 106 Flagler Beach, 107 at Marineland if you're going to go swim with the dolphins. So, really no escape. Even the beaches will be feeling it. Tomorrow, a little bit hotter. So, we're looking at 109, 110. We're possibly going to have heat advisories tomorrow based on these numbers if this holds. And then as we go into Monday, we cool down to 106, and then about 106 to 99, and then generally staying the same through the week. Matter of fact, we might get back up in the really high heat index numbers at the end of the week there. Remember, this is what your body is going to respond to. So when you start getting above 95 degrees, that you can actually start doing damage to internal organs. So that's why it's important to stay hydrated. If you're not staying hydrated, you could cause some internal damage. You could cause damage to your kidneys, and you could, and of course, the end result of that, if you're not staying hydrated, you start feeling, you start feeling like you're going to throw up. You feel sick, and that's your body telling you it's in trouble. So make sure you're staying hydrated out in those hot temperatures. So let's take a look at our rain chances now, because that is going to be... Whoops, if I can get there. They've updated their website. I'm still learning it here. So, rain chances for today. So, the best chances of showers and storms are going to be the inland locations. So, if you're out here by Mondex, Andalusia, Lake Diston, you got a much better chance of seeing a shower or storm today as opposed to coastal locations. We're going to be about maybe 20% chance or so here along the beaches. Now, tonight, about a 30% chance across the county. Where any of those storms inland might have the opportunity to drift back towards the coast. Saturday looks to be the nicer day of the weekend, but Sunday we're going to see a higher chance, about a 50 to 60% chance of showers and storms, pretty much county-wide. And then Monday, things really amp up with storm chances about 70% across the county. Again, it's not going to be an all-day rain, but you'll be getting more widespread coverage of those afternoon and evening storms, and they could possibly start a little earlier. Monday night, the rain chances dwindle down to about 20%. Tuesday, we bump up to about a 30 to 40% chance. Tuesday night, down about 10% chance. And then Wednesday, we struggle, 20% chance of a shower or a storm. And then Wednesday night, dry out. Thursday, less than 20% chance of a shower or storm. Thursday night, we dry out. And then as we go through the rest of the week, we're looking at pretty much low chances of showers and storms as we go through the remainder of the week here in Flagler County. How much rain are we going to get? Let's take a look at that. And hang on, let me get to that point. And 7 days, let's go look. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. No, let's get out of here. Come back. There we go. And this is our day 1 through 7 totals. Half inch to maybe an inch. We're not looking at anything really dramatic here as far as... Now, with that being said, you can get localized heavier amounts. So if a thunderstorm were to develop like over Bunnell and just park there for an hour, then you could possibly see 2 or 3 inches of rain out of that. So this is what the average expectation is. Now, going into the future, so this takes us towards the middle to the end of July. Look for temperatures to be above normal, so the heat stays with us. Look for precipitation chances to be above normal. Now, as we go into the end of July, look for temperatures to be above normal, precipitation chances above normal. Let's talk about wildfires, because the lightning's been keeping things busy out there. So we currently have about 5 different active wildfires in Flagler County. One of the bigger ones out here on the west side. This one, but that's not the one I was after. That's what no, maybe it's this one. Okay, this is the biggest one in the county. Little Hawk Creek Fire, 4 acres, 100% contained. All these other fires are less than an acre, and they're related to lightning. They're all contained, and there are no concerns with them. There's still some active fires out here in Putnam County. None of that being a problem for us. How about Sargasso seaweed? Let's see how that's doing right now. So right now, high risk of additional Sargasso seaweed washing ashore down here in southern Florida. But up here by us, right now we have our risk has increased again. So right now, a moderate risk of sargassum seaweed washing into the beaches. So if you're going to the beaches, just be on the lookout for that. Large piles of sargassum seaweed can have very small trace amounts of arsenic in it. So don't really mess with that stuff. It's not going to hurt you, but you don't want to really mess with it, play with it with your hands and put your hands in your mouth. So just be aware of that. But we are looking at the higher risk down here in southern Florida and then a moderate risk up here by us as far as sargassum seaweed is concerned. So that's going to wrap things up. And again, look for largely dry conditions today, but a few thunderstorms could form. Any of those could be strong or possibly severe, but most of us will miss the worst of it. The heat stays with us right through the week. Better chances of rain tomorrow, Monday, and possibly into Tuesday before rain chances settle back down. And we go back to mostly dry with the odd shower storm possible as we go through the remainder of the week. So no problems in the tropics. Few little brush fires out there, but they're all being managed. And there's a moderate risk of sargassum seaweed at the beaches. Surf 1 to 2 feet. Surf temperature is 84 degrees. So really nice at the beach. Just kind of watch out for the sargassum seaweed out there. But overall, nice conditions at the beaches. So everybody have a great rest of the weekend. Have a great week ahead. And we will likely be back next weekend, unless there's a dramatic change in the forecast in the middle part of the week. If there is, then we'll be back in the mid part of the week. Everybody have a great week, and bye-bye.